Begin the current Daf, Mesechtes Kesuvos Daf. Hey, begin on the bottom of the Alma Bays, 2 lines up on the bottom of the Yomid. We're middle of. It's interesting how we got into this conversation. It really was because we quote a brisa that we were discussing regarding a situation of besulness of Mervi. We opened up this parak, this Mesech, the girl gets married on Wednesday. We said because of sakana, you get married on Tuesday. We said because of oinus, you get married on Monday. So we're going to have the whole discussion exactly what the oinus is. The oinus that the general's men are going to take away the food, or because the father of the groom or the mother of the bride passed away. So what are you going to do? No one's going to be able to prepare for them as well. And you can even do it on Muntik, you can even do it on Monday. Now, once we did that, we brought in another price, so we were discussing regarding situations of oinus, and it was related to the halacha of avelis, and we first do the bilis mitzvah. And then in that price itself, we mentioned something about that, okay, either way, whatever it is, whenever you can do the wedding, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but we said either way, you can't do a bia on certain times, and that's where our Gemara is going to get into a whole discussion regarding when you're making the wedding on certain days, and regarding certain halachas that come out of that. Some things we discuss in today's daf are the reason not to perform bilas mitzvah on a Friday night or Matzah Shabbos, the reason for be'ilas besula on lechamishi, why they have bia on Wednesday night, and by an amona the bia is specifically on Thursday night, which is leil shishi. Bia betchil b'Shabbos, the halachic ramification of having bia on Friday night. The first time is because either chabura, problem is you might be making a wound, or asiyas pesach, you're actually creating an opening. Very interesting when you look at it from a halachic perspective, what's being done. It's not just an act, there's also halachas relating to it. And also having cheshbon shel mitzvah on Shabbos about that you're not supposed to make calculation, but for mitzvah purpose, yes. Davashem Meskaven, some Shabbos halachas come in a lot on this stuff regarding if you're doing a malacha but you're not intending for it, and also mekalkal if you're doing a destructive act. So we get the current daf. Down on the 2 lines up at the bottom of the Amid. Amar, we send the brisa. Or whether there was a oinus or not, again, which that's those that we had mentioned this sugya in the previous dafim. But either way, I don't care when you're doing the wedding. Lo yivul, the kala that's a basula should not have be'iyah. Lo be'er Shabbos, lo be'matzah Shabbos. The first be'iyah should not be done on Friday night or matzah Shabbos. So the Gemara says, what's going on? Bishlam be'er Shabbos. I understand on Friday night chabura because you're making a wound, which the Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg discuss exactly as we'll discuss what exactly is happening that you're making a wound. What's the problem of making chabura when blood comes out? Is it tzeiveya? Is it? But ultimately comes out. It's really like type of a yitzias hanefesh. It's like when you're taking out the blood. The blood is the nefesh, and so it's like a type of a yitzias nefesh, which killing is forbidden on Shabbos. So, but either way, be that as it may, but matzah Shabbos am I loy. But why matzah Shabbos can you not do? What's the problem? So Rabbi Zeri says you can of Hamad Aleph mishum cheshbonus. What's going to happen is if you're marrying her and you're doing bia on Matzah Shabbos, so you're going to make a suda on Matzah Shabbos. You're going to think about on Shabbos what you have to take care of, and shtayt v'da beduva and Yeshaya Nunches that you're not supposed to make cheshbonus of on Shabbos. So you're going to be saying, okay, do this, do that, and you do this, and that's not Shabbos. That's an isser of v'da beduva, and therefore we don't want you to be making the chasna on Matzah Shabbos to have this bias mitzvah on Matzah Shabbos. Abaye says, cheshbonus shel mitzvah me'asiri. I understand you not make cheshbonus on Shabbos for your business, but for mitzvah purpose, you think it's forbidden? But Vaha, and the Gemara brings many proofs that you're allowed to make cheshbonus of mitzvah. Rav Chizda, Rav Hamnuna, Mitavai, they both say cheshbonus shel mitzvah mutal chash b'Shabbos. You're allowed to make calculations of mitzvah on Shabbos. So Tvam Rebbe Elazar says, Paiskin Tzakal Ani b'Shabbos. You get up there and say, Klapan Omid, we're collecting for this person, and you're allowed to go ahead, 2,000, 3,000. You're allowed to make this collecting for poor people on Shabbos. So to Omer Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yechon says, Hochel Batik and Nesis Bat Midrashas. People could go from shul to shul into the Bat Midrashas on Shabbos. So if you want to take care of a public need, you're allowed to go ahead and say, we want you to vote for this person to take care of somebody that's a tzarech for the rabbin. Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yechon says, Mefachin, you could also go ahead and you could publicize Pikuach Nefesh per Shabbos, something danger to people's lives as tzarech mitzvah. You're allowed to do that on Shabbos. So to Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachman and Rabbi Yonasan, he says, Hochel Tartiyos. You're allowed to go to, generally it's translated theaters. Rashi says it's like the palaces of the kings, the governor's mansion, and lekarkiyos, like the circuses or whatever the public arenas, to take care of the public needs on Shabbos. And so to Betan Menashe, it was taught in the yeshiva of Menashe in the Brisa Mishadchin. You could make shidduchim, you could make matches al tinaikis for the young girl the August b'Shabbos to get engaged on Shabbos. Valtinik, you could also take care of for the child Ulam the Sefer to teach him how to learn Ulam the Umnis and to go ahead and even teach him a profession. You could say, I want you to go ahead, and this guy's a good plumber, I want you to go ahead, and he's going to teach you how to go ahead. You could be making all these arrangements. Why? Because a mitzvah. It says in Pasuk Keheles, you should see your life with the woman that you love. Which, that's definitely very important. Pasuk, for sure, live the life with the woman that you love. But additionally, what it means to say is, you should learn a profession that you can be able to live with that, with the Torah. Which that's, with Torah is called the woman that you love, but you have to have chayim with that. You have to have a profession. Like the Gemara says, a father has to teach his son a profession. So the question is, what do you tell me that you're not supposed to get married on Motzei Shabbos because you can make all these cheshbonim? That's a mitzvah. The mitzvah daras, the eshta mitzvah pei. What are you talking about? That we're afraid you're going to make cheshbonim on Shabbos. So it says the Gemara a different pshat. Elamar B'Zeira says the reason why it's forbidden initially on Motzei Shabbos is Gezerah. It's a rabbinic concern. Shem Yishchid Ben Oif, or it says some have the gears of Boy Oif. Either way, is that the problem is you might go ahead and slaughter the bird, the chicken on Shabbos. For Motzei Shabbos, you can be busy. And you're going to forget that it's Shabbos. Everyone's so busy, a hustle and bustle at the chasnas tonight. So because of that, we don't want you to make the chasna on Motzei Shabbos, because you might come to Shech on Shabbos. So Amalei Abaye says, wait a second. If that's the case, I'll give you another case. Yomei Kippurim Shachalis B'Shein B'Shabbos. Yomei Kippurim falls out to be on a Monday, which you have to have a big Suda on Sunday, which is every Yom Kippurim, right? If Yom Kippur is on Monday, it's on Sunday night. You have to have a big festive meal on every Yom Kippurim. We know it's like you fasted on 2 days in a row. You have a big Suda. So Yidcha, you should push off Yom Kippurim to Tuesday, because maybe on Shabbos you're going to shecht some of those good geese that you have because for the big meal tomorrow. What's the difference?
You do it on Sunday.
What?
You do it on Sunday.
Oh, so says the Gemara Hasam of the Yom Kippurim. First of all, there's two answers the Gemara gives. Either Hasam of the Yom Kippurim Dil Nafshi, it's just for himself. Like Torah's not so perturbed and so worked up that he's going to go ahead and I'll do it tomorrow. So others Torah, they say, who knows the stress people go through when they're making chasna. So yeah, Schwartzberg, wait till you get there and you'll see what it's like. But I'm saying it's very different. So there they were concerned about. Or another approach is Hasam Mislei Ravcha. No, they have time to shech by night. The Suda is on every Kippur is only till tomorrow. Hacha Leslei Ravcha, here he doesn't have time because the Suda is, that's it, right after Shabbos we're taking pictures and that's it, you got to get the makeup on, it's happening right away. So therefore, that's why it's different between that and the case of Yom Kippur. But says the Gemara, Hashda Asas Lahachi, but once you came to the answer you just gave me, then Erev Shabbos Nami, interesting, now we can tell you why you now have the first be on Friday night, because what's going to happen is, if you're having the chasna on Friday night, then I don't have to say al tzchabur. I have to say because what happens is where's the food? What happened? We ordered and Friday night the guy might shecht. He's going to be so caught up in the simcha, and he might go to his pen over there where he has this chicken. He's going to go with shechted. So therefore, that's why you're not allowed to have the chasna, to have the first biyah on Friday night, and you can't do it on Motzei Shabbos. Either because on Friday night Shem Yishcha B'Noif, or because of, as we'll see later, the discussion about making chabura in the Besula on Friday night.
What if Yom Kippur falls on Wednesday?
What do you mean? If Yom Kippur falls on Wednesday, then what?
Then you shouldn't be able to get married Wednesday night because of Shem Yishcha B'Noif.
Oh, you mean to say if Yom Kippur falls? You mean to say malacha that if you'll do malacha on Yom Kippur? You mean? So why Yom Kippur? Any Yom Tiv? I mean, Yom Tov, you have Orcha Nefesh. Oh, yeah, Orcha Nefesh. Oh, yeah.
Didn't we have in Yoma that there shouldn't be chasnas between Yom Kippur and Sikas anyway?
What?
We had in Masechta Yoma that you shouldn't have chasnas between Yom Kippur and Sikas anyway.
Oh, yeah? Trying to remember, what was that? Why? Uh-huh. I guess that'll take you to the question.
So why don't we say that about Shabbos?
That what?
Start two symbols.
Yeah, no, oh yeah, I mean, but no one's doing the wedding.
Shabbos is index.
I'm saying they got married on Friday. They got married on Friday afternoon, so they're just. But you don't want to have the celebration on Friday night because of this. You might come to Shech the Ben night. Now, relating to the halach of the Mishnah, the following question: B'sula Nisas B'Revi. The girl, she gets married on Wednesday. V'nev Elis B'Revi, could she also have the bia on Wednesday? Let's say have an early wedding on Wednesday. The chasna was called for 11 o'clock. They're over at 5 o'clock, and she is only 8:15. Could they go ahead and have bia on Wednesday? And meaning, we're not concerned that maybe he's going to cool down. What happens is they have bia, and he doesn't find besulim. So we're not concerned that he's going to calm down that extra amount of time till goes to Ma'ariv, Mecha Ma'ariv, and then they go, and then tomorrow morning by the Bezdin, so I already calmed down already. Are we not concerned that he's going to calm down? Like Dilma, maybe no. Basula's Nisas Brevi, maybe the Basula only, she gets married on Wednesday, but Menevel's Bachamishi, but she has to have Bia when it really gets dark on Wednesday night, that's already part of Thursday, because the Chashin Lakur died. We're concerned that he's going to calm down. So this time we say Basula Nisas Brevi, is the Bia allowed to also be on Revi, or does the Bia have to be specifically ready when the Wednesday night already? Where then not so much time is going to pass, and we won't have the problem about a Kuri Daita. So
Not to be by day.
what? Right, I'm saying, but you could be Meskas and Betalis. There are situations that would allow. So that's the question. Someone says, Tashma Tzbinga Rai, the Tony Bakapar to the Brisa. He says, Besula Nisbiravi. So the virgin gets married on Wednesdays, and the bee is going to be on Wednesday night, on Thursday. Why? Why on Thursday? Because in the Torah, in the beginning of the Torah, it says Prudavu. It said on Thursday, the 5th day of creation, it says, be fruitful and multiply, and molis amayim. Meaning the fish were told to be fruitful and to fill up the waters, which we know how much fish there is. You go, how many times have you gone scuba diving, snorkeling, right? There's tons of them, right? They fill up. That was a special bracha said to the fish. Now, therefore, you want to get that bracha prudavu, it was said to fish. So have bia, that first one, on Wednesday night, which is Thursday. Whereas Amanda, this is Bachamisha, a widow, when she gets remarried, she gets married on a Thursday. I mean, the Bashishi, she has bia on Thursday night, which is already Friday. Because then there was a bracha to man. Prudavu milas was said to man. Then you get the bracha of being fruitful multiplying that was said to the human being, not just to the fish. But one thing the Gemara wants to make a diak is, wait a second. You told me that the basula does the bia on Wednesday night. Why? Time shem bracha, because you want to get the blessing of the fish. Aval, it sounds like someone who's not particular about the bracha, like Taisa discussed in a few places, that you're not called a navargin if you're not concerned about this bracha. You're not a sinner. But so therefore it sounds like, but Meshumah Krudi Daita, about calming down, you're not concerned for that little bit extra, and you're allowed to go ahead and have bia on Wednesday. Because it sounds like only for the bracha is when you're doing Wednesday night. But for the calming down, for the whole point of the basul, and this is that you're not going to find basul, we're not concerned, and you could do bia on Wednesday. Says Gemara, but ihachi. So now the Gemara has a question on the brisa. What's ihachi? Taisa explains. In other words, if you would say in the brisa that the basula has the bia on Thursday because of calming down, like we had asked, and not because the bracha for the fish, which is not so important, so it would make sense why the widow does the bia on Friday because of the bracha. But now that you tell me that the reason why the basula herself is also because of bracha, so then the widow should also have the bia on Thursday, meaning she gets married on Thursday. Let her do the bia on Thursday also. Because of the bracha of the fish. Because that's why he said that the basula does the bia on Wednesday night. So let them also get the bracha of the fish. No bracha dad madifle. The bracha of that was said to man of to be fruitful and multiply is better, which you're getting on Thursday night, which is already Friday. So says Rashi. So then why didn't you say basula should get married on Friday? He says no. If a basula get married on Friday to get the bracha of Adam, then he's gonna have to wait till Monday to come to court. Where for sure he's gonna calm down over the whole Shabbos. He's gonna make him his favorite kishka, this and that, whatever. It's it. But from Wednesday to Thursday, that we wouldn't necessarily be concerned for. Now, or another approach you could say is that the reason why the Amana has to be on Thursday night and not on Thursday day, like the Basula, is Meshum Shaktu. There's a different Shaktu that the Chum were diligent about. The time like Linda Bryson. Nema Umra Amon, this is Bechamishi. Why did we say that the widow gets married on Thursday? Vinimels Bashishi, and she only does the be on Thursday night, which is Friday. Shema To'im Tibal Bechamishi. Because if you're going to say she's going to do the be on Thursday, the Chasna was 11 o'clock chuppah, 2 o'clock they're over, and then they're going to be intimate. No, wait till the evening. Why? Because if you're going to say they're going to be intimate at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday, so the macher, guess what's happening tomorrow? The guy's going back to work and he's leaving. Because the Sheva brachas of a Alman with Almana is only one day, as the Gemara says later on Abzayim and Aleph. So Friday morning he's going to work. So Shakta Chachamat, Yisrael. So the sages were diligent regarding making the best situation for the Jewish girls. She is that at least they should celebrate for 3 days. How so? Chamish b'Shabbos. Thursday's not going to work because that's the day of the wedding. The Erev Shabbos, which is Friday, he's not going to work because they were intimate on Friday. So he's not going to leave. He's not running out. And the Shabbos, which is Shabbos. So you're going to get 3 days of celebration. That's why we dafka want you to have intimacy on Friday, so that he's celebrating with her for 3 days. So the Gemara says, okay, we said two reasons. What's the difference between that you told me that she's going to have the bia on Thursday night, bein bracha? One interpretation you told me was because of the blessing that man was given to be pruvu, which is only on Friday. L'shaktu, which another reason why you told me that you want him to have the bia on Thursday night, Friday, because that then he won't leave her for 3 days. What's the difference? Says the Gemara, the difference between them is either, which Shais explains it means what's the nafkamin, is either adam bittul, meaning a guy who is a leidige. It doesn't work. You could say it, I can't say it. So according to the one that says that the bracha given to Adam was better, so even so, you're still going to have to be on Thursday night because you want to get the bracha of Adam. But according to the one that says the reason is shaktu, you could have bia on Thursday because the guy's not getting up to go to work anyway. So it doesn't make a difference. You could have bia at Thursday afternoon. Or another approach, you could say, another ramification would be Yom Tov Shechalis B'Erev Shabbos. If Yom Tov is on Friday, so then he's not getting up to go to work on Friday. So therefore, then you wouldn't have the reason to hold back from having to be on Thursday afternoon. But if you want to have that omen, that sign of the first bia being with the bracha Adam, you would hold off till Thursday night. So that would be the nafkamina, two nafkaminas regarding the two different interpretations why the amana is having to be on Thursday night and not on Thursday afternoon. Now, once we mentioned Bar Kapara, for Zagadic teaching of this bracha l'dogim and bracha l'adam, when we want to have this symbolic first bias mitzvah on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. So we mentioned Bar Kapar with another drasha, unrelated, seemingly unrelated. Of course, grace tzaddikim always show how it's connected, but seemingly unrelated. G'dolim masid tzaddikim, talking about masid tzaddikim, yes. How great are the actions of the righteous? Yisim b'maisa shemaim ba'aretz, more than the acts of creating heaven and earth. Why? Regarding creating heaven and earth, what does it say Pasuk Yeshaya? Af yadi, also my hand, which is one hand. Yosta Eretz founded the earth. V'mini, in my right hand, Tafcha Shemayim, spread out the heaven. Which Taisa points out, actually Yad usually means left and right means right. So aren't you using two hands? So he says no, but each one was done with one hand. Whereas regarding the handiwork of the righteous, what does it say Pasuk in Shemais by Kriyas Yamsuf? Machin l'shivtecha, a foundation for your dwelling. Pa'alta Hashem, you made Mikdash Adonai, the temple of Hashem. Kainu yodecha, your hands prepared. Now the Mikdash was made by the tzaddikim. So you see, it's called yodecha in the plural. You see how great is what the tzaddikim do more than Shemayim Ba'aretz. So Heishim Bavli Echad. So one Babylonian spoke up. Rabbi Shloimy, and his name was Rabbi Shloimy, says, "Ha, pasuk and tell him." It says v'yabeshes in the dry land. Yadav yitzaru. His hands formed it. So you see, Yadav is plural. You see, Shemayim and Aretz was with both hands. No, so Yadai. Although we read it Yadav, but it's written actually without a Yud. It's Yadai, written in the singular. I have Aksiv Yitzaru, but it says they formed, which is plural. It says Gemara Menachem Yitzchak said, yeah, Yatzru, it's one hand, but Yatzru Etzba Isav, it's plural on the fingers. His fingers formed it. Like says the Pasuk Tehillim. Because I'm going to see your heaven, the actions of your fingers. The moon and the stars that you prepared. So yeah, it could be plural because it's going on the fingers. But the Gemara is from the Pasuk in Tehillim. It says, the heavens, they tell over the glory of God. And his handiwork in plural, the firmament, the heavens say. So you see that Shemayim is with Yadav as plural. So you're reading the pasuk wrong. This Maisi Yadav is actually referring to Maisi Yem Shel Tzadikim. Refers to actually the actions of the righteous people. That we're calling their actions as if it's Maisi Yadav of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like we mentioned before regarding the Mikdash. And what the pasuk is saying is that Maisi Yadav, which is really the Maisi of Tzadikim, Magid, who's going to talk about how great are the actions of the righteous? Harikia. The sky is going to testify to the people that these people are righteous. Mind you, what is that? Matar. When they daven for rain and the rain comes down, so that's how you read the pasuk. Hashemayim Masam Kavod Kel Umaisi Yadav. Who's Yadav? Although it mentions Hashem, but we're just like in the previous pasuk when we mentioned from Az Yasher, that we says Koin Yudecha is going in the Mikdash, so we call Hashem, but it's really the Ma'asen Tzadikim. Who's going to be Magid it? The Riki is going to be Magid it. How's the Riki Magid Ma'asen Tzadikim? When it rains, then it's showing that these people are really righteous. Another unrelated drasha, Darash Bar Kapara, he expounds Ma'adet, so what's the pasuk in Devarim? It says, there should be a spike for you, meaning besides for Azinecha means like Klei Zayin, like your weapons. So besides for all your other weapons, you should have a spike for you. which Pashup Pshat is talking about, because when you're going to relieve the waste matter, and you can't have when you want to say Devam Shebekdusha, you have to take your tools and cover it over. But the Drush is saying a very different interpretation. Al Tikra Azinecha, don't read that you have Shabbos spike al Azinecha, meaning together with all your other weapons. Don't read Azinecha, ela al Oizanecha. Rather, you should have a spike on your ears. What does that mean? Maybe there's a journey song about this, maybe. But if someone hears something that's inappropriate, as you continue to base, Yanich etzboi, he should put his finger, which is pointy like a spike, like a peg. But Azam, he should put that in his finger. This is what Rabbi Elazar says. Say this. Why are a person's fingers similar to pegs? So the Gemara says, my time. In other words, what are you talking about? That a person's finger is similar to spikes, that you're asking, why is it like that? Meaning, if it's because you tell me that every finger is separated from the other one like a spike, and it's not connected together, what do you mean? Every single finger has its own independent utility. So, and as we're going to prove, even regarding tzarchi gavai, even regarding things that relate to avodah shemayim, every finger has a different utility, like the Master said. Zuzeres, meaning we're starting from the smallest finger, going all the way from the pinky to the thumb, that the zeres was mentioned by the cheshin. The cheshin, that the breastplate that the Kohen Gadol wore, its length and its width was a zeres. So that pinky has a reason, because we have to measure the cheshin. And zu kamitza, the next finger that's near the pinky, is where you start doing the kamitza, when you take the fistful of the flour offering, where you take your middle three fingers and you put it over your palm. That's the ring finger, the middle finger, and the pointer, and you do a kamitza. So that's why they have that finger near the pinky. And then zu'ama, the middle finger, is the biggest one, where you measure the amas habinyan, the amas hakim, the amma itself, that we call an amma versus a tafacha. That amma is actually from the middle finger all the way to the elbow. So we needed that middle finger to measure an amma. And then the next finger, zu etzba. That's the finger that Rashi explains is for the placing of the blood of the chatas on the mizbeach. You have to use your finger to spray it. It says be'etzboi, and then you have the thumb and say goydel, which here Rashi explains that it's for when they have to spray the boy and yad of Aaron or the mitzayra. So every single finger has a utility. What do you tell me? Why is it separated? Of course, it's separated. Each one has its function. So Ella, no, rather what matam mishupas ki says. Not why is it separated like spikes, but why is it pointy like a spike? Oh, why is the fingers pointy? Someone hears something inappropriate. So it's pointy, so you could fit it into your ear. You put your fingers in your ears that you shouldn't hear what someone else is saying. That's inappropriate. Similarly, Tanbi Bishmol taught in the Brayse Shiur Bishmol that Nema Oizen Kula Kasha. Why is it that the ears they're strong, but Va'alya, but the lobe, which is the flesh at the end of the ear, is raka, is soft. As you put in the earrings, it's very easy over there. Why is it soft? Because if someone says something inappropriate, you bend over your lobe into the ear space that you don't hear what the person is saying. A person should not let into his ears to listen to idle chatter. Why? Because the ears are very soft and they're very thin, and they're going to be nichlis tchil levarm. The first limb to be burnt in Gehenim is going to be the ears, more than everything else. As similarly we find in the Gemara in Avodah Zarah that talks about an idol worshiper, that he singed the head, which obviously a problem that you might come into Bishul Akim, you're allowed to eat it. It says even from the tip of the ear, which Rashi says, why tip of the ear? Which the chiddush is that even though that's the quickest to cook, that because it's so soft, that's the first thing to get singed is the ear. So be careful what you listen to, because the first limb that's going to get punished is going to be the ears. Now, totally, we go right back to what we had mentioned regarding the topic of the previous daf. The following question: what's the halacha? Can you do the first bia on Friday night? Which Rashi says either whoever's asking the question didn't hear the brayse that we mentioned on Daf Gimel base, or he heard it. He wants to know, is that the halacha or is that not the halacha? So although we had mentioned very simply that you can't have the first bia on Friday night, this is a question that's being posed: could you have the first bia on Friday night or not? What's the question? A very interesting sugi over here. Says the Gemara, it's very condensed, concise, but dumb. The question is like this: the blood that comes out when you have the first bia, mifkid pocket, is it deposited like it's just gathered inside in the hymenal membrane? It's not really absorbed in the walls of the uterus, of the vagina. That as if it comes out through a chabura by, like someone bangs someone else. The blood rises into the skin, and that's a problem about chabura because you're extracting blood from where it was, and it's coming out. No, it's actually that you're just opening up the gates that's in front of it, and you open up and they come out. Or maybe that no, you're making a wound. The blood of virginity that comes out is through a chabura, where you're undoing the where it's connected to, from where it's connected, and that's what's pulling out the blood. That's the question. How does the blood? How do we qualify? Again, the mitzias is not what they're probably asking. They're asking regarding how do we qualify it? How do we view it? Is it considered deposited, or is it connected and we're detaching? Now, moreover, so now the Gemara is going to actually take two approaches in either one of this. If you say mifkad pocket or chibur b'chaber. The imtim tzalem. If you say dam mifkad pocket, let's say okay, you're going to tell me that the mitzias is in halacha that we consider it as deposited. It's not really a chabura. However, the intent of the one that's releasing it, is it l'dam hu tzarich? Is it that he wants the blood to come out, and he's intending for it to come out? Which place discusses that why does he want the blood to come out? Is it because he doesn't want to get filthy the next time? Taisa says, what is it the purpose of, or because he wants to know that she's a virgin? But be that as it may, he wants the blood to come out. That's what he's looking for, and therefore b'shari, that's permitted to be done on Shabbos because it's mifked pocket. It's just deposited. You're not doing chabur that's releasing it. You're just opening up the door and the blood's coming out. I want to make sure it's there. That's my whole purpose. Maybe no the Pesach utzach. Maybe he needs the opening, and therefore that's like binyan. You're building. You're creating an opening by the woman, and therefore us it's gonna be forbidden. Not to be buying on Shabbos. Moreover, so maybe you're gonna say l'dam utzarach. That maybe his intent is for the blood. He's not intending to make the opening. So that should be permitted. However, by default, you're by default creating an opening. And therefore now that opens up another question. Halacha Reb Shimon? Is halacha like Reb Shimon? That he said when you're not intending to do something, but you're doing the malacha, but it's unintentional, which is baina. Mutter, we hold like Reb Shimon that holds Dav Shem Miskaben is mutter. Halacha Reb Yehuda, halacha like Reb Yehuda. That he said Dav Shem Miskaben is aser. And even though you're not intending to make an opening, but you make an opening, and it's going to be forbidden. Now Rashi's bothered. He says, wait a second. How can you tell me if the halacha like Reb Shimon would be permitted? But we know Reb Shimon agrees by psikreisha v'lo yamos, which is called you're going to chop the chicken's head. I'm not intending to kill it. I just want the head, but it's going to die. It's inevitable. Doesn't he agree here also that obviously if you're doing bia, you're going to make an opening. So how can you say Reb Shimon would be permitted? So Rashi tells us, the Gemara actually asks this later on the next daf. The Gemara answers that there are certain people that they're very proficient in tilting themselves. They're actually, no blood's going to come out, and they're not even going to create an opening. So therefore it's not psikreisha v'lo, it's not inevitable that having this bia is going to create an opening. And therefore, according to Reb Shimon, again, possibly would be permitted. Or these halakhas like Reb Yehuda that no, Dav Shem Miskaben is us. Moreover, this variables keep on the algorithm keeps on changing. If you're going to say halacha Reb Yehuda, the halakhas like Reb Yehuda. And therefore, what we say, it should be forbidden. Because even though you're not intending to be blind, you want the blood, but there's still a question over here, because the Gemara in Shabbos of Kavav Manav tells us that where did Rabbi Yehuda say that when you're not intending to do something to be forbidden is only by masakin. Generally, malachas on Shabbos are only forbidden when you're doing a constructive act, not destructive. But there are some exceptions of destructive activity that you're going to be chayav for. Now, so interestingly, because makalkel, a destructive act, is meaning to the contrary, meaning by masakin. When did Rabbi Yehuda say his halacha Dav Shem Miskaben is asa? Is by masakin, but by makalkel, when you destructive act, it's not a malacha. It's only the 39 malachas are constructive, not destructive. So therefore, you could ask regarding this opening. What are you going to ask? Do you say makalkel hu esal pesach? is maybe the opening a destructive act. Why? Because Rashi tells us, a basula is more chashav than a ba'ula. There's a greater pleasure by basula than ba'ula. She always fetched a higher prize. So actually, by making the opening, is actually destructive. So actually, then it should be permitted, because makalkal is actually pater on Shabbos. Or besakin itself, so maybe it's considered fixing. It's creating an opening. Now you don't have any obstruction, and therefore it would be aser. So that was one long question about if you hold dam mifkad pocket, again based on this variable, based on this way, based on that way. If you say this, if you say that, what the halach is going to be? Are you allowed to do bia initially on Friday night? Ikadam, those that say if you take the other option, and it goes through the whole questions also like this. The end tips, if you say dam chabur mechaber, then no, not like the first version said that the blood is deposited. No, the blood is actually connected, and it's going to be a wound to make it come out. Still, we could still ask the following questions. L'dam mutzach. So when the person's doing B with the basula, does he want the blood? V'asa, never it's going to be forbidden because that's a malachas machshavas of chabura. You're intending to get the blood out. Well, that's actually the problem here. It's chabura, not make chabura on Shabbos. Maybe he's not intending to get the blood out. He wants to have pleasure. He's a young man, and it's his first time that he's having this opportunity, and therefore, although he's making a chabura, but it's davish ein miskaven. He's not intending to make a chabura. V'shari and the it's going to be permitted. Okay. If you say okay, no, maybe it should be permitted because he's doing it for his own pleasure. He's not intending to give her to injure her when they're having this intimacy. But the blood is coming by itself, so he's not intending to get it out, but it is coming out. Comes that the chabur is happening, albeit unintentionally. But do you say halach Rabbi Yehuda, who holds even though you're not intending, but maybe getting the blood out of the chabur is masakin, and it's going to be forbidden? It's a constructive act, and it would be forbidden. Halach Rabbi Shimon, maybe halach Rabbi Shimon holds no, since you're not intending, it's going to be permitted. Because then if and if you're going to say halach Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore it should be forbidden, because although you're not intending to make a chabur, you just want to have fun, but ultimately you're making chabura and should be forbidden. But still, you could ask the question: mikalkal b'chabura. It's a destructive act of chabura, which Rabbi Yehuda holds kilkal is permitted when you're doing destructive act, and it should be permitted. Or misakin b'chabura, or maybe it's a constructive act, and therefore, because you want the blood to come out, and therefore it's going to be forbidden. Ve'im tim tzalema, and says the Gemara, one last question. And even if you're going to say mekalkal b'chaburu, so even though it's destructive act, which according to Rabbi Yehuda is permitted, but you could still possibly say it's going to be aser, because if by davish miskav, if when you're doing unintentionally malach on Shabbos, you hold like Rabbi Yehuda that's aser, but by mekalkal b'chaburu you hold like Reb Shimon, who holds that you're actually going to be chayiv. Like we said, although generally all destructive acts are pater on Shabbos because all lamates malachas are constructive acts, there are two notable exceptions. One is chavala, making a wound, and one is havara, is fire, is consuming something, which the Gemara in Shabbos Kavam Manav says is like Reb Shimon. So the question is, bimakalkal by destructive act, do you say halacha Rabbi Yehuda, and it would be permitted because although Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says davar shemes gavan is aser, that's only by masakin when you're doing constructive act. But bimakalkal destructive act doesn't say it, and therefore it would be permitted although it's davar shemes gavan because makalkal because it's a destructive act. Or as we get into Vav Madalef, or halacha Rabbi Shimon, do you say halacha Rabbi Shimon that makalkal b'chabura is chayiv? And since you're also telling me halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda that davar shemes gavan is aser, together with Rabbi Shimon who holds that makalkal b'chabura is chayiv, the joint of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon would make it forbidden. That is the question that the Gemara has regarding this about having beer Friday night. It would all depend on imtim salema of all these different variables. How you say if it's going to be permitted or forbidden to have beer on Friday night. And either one we could ask if dam mifkid pocket or if it's mechabur mechaber. We can have the question either one if you're allowed to have beer on Friday night or not. Thank you to Anytime for hosting us.